Ashes to ashes.
Hey, hello, and welcome to the episode number 6 of Till Death Do Us Part, the podcast, where everything we explore related to death, funerals, and stories that connect us all. I'm your host, Mike Hamlar from Virginia. We got a packed show today. We got our crew. Minus one. He'll be on later, hopefully, but we're going to go around the horn real quick. Warren from VA, what's up, man?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? We made it out the chat.
Gotta do it every episode.
Oh my gosh, man, we packed show for y'all, and it's all the stuff that y'all ask us about. And you know, one of the biggest questions we get on a regular basis: well, can we still see them? Can we still see the body? Well, now we're gonna tell you how it's possible and how it just might not be. So, welcome.
Well, you don't put him in the center. He don't want to shut up.
I ain't saying too
Look,
much.
y'all starting already. How many we get today, Tiff? Charmaine, how many?
Flags.
All right, Adrian, what's up, man? In Texas, they in that stadium beach out there in Houston. What's up, man?
Man, what up, everybody, y'all? This is episode 5. Yes, we made it out the chat, and we are getting. Listen, y'all, this thing is going up week by.
This is 6, sir.
I thought it was no.
This is 6.1.
Hey,
Damn, I've been posting the
Mike.
wrong stuff. But anyway, we're super excited. And today's show, of course, is part 1 of this series. Can we show the body? Is it beautiful or is it a beast? My goodness, we finna find out.
All right, Charmaine up in Maryland. What's up, Charmaine? The mother.
Hey. Good evening. Welcome back. We're looking forward to sharing all this information with you. And he talked about beauty or beast. It's 2 beauties and 3 beasts going on around here. So we're looking forward to showing you a whole lot more of the beastly side.
Just disrespectful.
This coming out the gate. God,
My
Bebo
goodness.
in the house. All right, Tiff, what's going on? The princess in Philly.
Duh. There she goes.
It's Tiffany, as you guys already know by now, the princess. So yes, we're gonna get into it tonight. We're gonna give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent.
There we go. So today's topic is, can we show the body? So we're going to talk about all kind of things on that one in just a few minutes. But before that, we always want to start with our disclaimer. Today is a little bit more mature for mature audiences only, because due to the graphic nature of the photos and videos. So please, if you got little ones, put them away. Put them in bed right now. They're not going to be able to watch this episode.
In the words of Jill Scott, if we have any babies in the room, I'm going to give you a chance to leave before we do our thing.
There you go.
You have to do your whole body and stuff like that, like she was doing.
It's I can do it because my feet touch the floor.
That's one. Hold on, there's a flag on the play. But look, you see the disclaimer down at the bottom.
No, 2.
Just 2. So just make sure if you do have sensitive little ones, or you're sensitive to graphic violence and things like that, please just don't view this one. So we're gonna get right into it. But first, we always like to talk about current events and funeral service. So we have a new pope, y'all.
Our homeboy.
New Orleans.
The pope has
From
Haitian
the
and Creole
USA.
root.
He's from Chicago.
They
First
said New
American
Orleans.
born pope. Yep. So we're gonna show a little clip.
They said that man is from New Orleans,
Congratulations to
Charmaine.
the
He
Pope.
ain't from Chicago.
Here we go.
Creole roots. And if you understand anything about the history of race in America, that means that he comes from a mixed race family. And that family, his grandparents were New Orleans, but then they also moved to the Chicago area. And nobody really said who they were. and they didn't say who they were. And so how people see you is how they decide to mark you. And I think it's really important to understand that even though this is his background, it's not the forefront of everything that should be about him. I think there's a whole history of people who migrated from Chicago during the Great Migration and other times from Louisiana and other places in the South. And I think it's really important to understand that our history of race in America is complicated, and we can't just deal with it like it's a binary.
I appreciate that context, Anthea. Does the papacy change people? Meaning, do we know what Pope Leo will be like based on his views as a cardinal, or do they often change after becoming pontiff?
All right, what y'all think?
Hey, man, we got us a
Yay.
new.
Look at Warren. Warren's like, what?
We got us a new.
What?
That's Texas, though. I don't even know what to say.
Whether
Well,
he
he speak-
acknowledges it or not.
Right, exactly. Whether he acknowledges it or not, and
Well,
he
in one-
speaks
one-
5 languages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. One video
That's
he did
dope.
mention his roots. One thing he did mention his
Okay,
roots being
cool.
mixed. And it's a great
Okay.
thing. It's an awesome thing. We were just asking the second episode, how come there has not been an American or a brother or anyone of a ethnic background, and boom, here we go. The white smoke
Yeah.
went up and he came
Yeah.
out.
Right.
So just for clarity, have been 3 people of African descent that have held the position of Pope. I have to go back. It's like back 1600s, maybe 1600s. But for this man to be American, and I think I put a post up, and people were kind of like, I don't know. Like I didn't know whether to be hopeful or like, ooh, how influenced is this for us to have an American Pope in this social climate right now? Now to hear that he has some Creole and Haitian roots, I'm now trying to almost research like how deep those roots go, because when you get down into Haitian and Creole cultures and you get into some different religions, so kind of see how those roots might pass over and intermingle. But we hope so.
Congratulations, Pope Leo. The Catholics have their Pope. So there you go.
White
There was
smoke.
some
Some
white
people
smoke.
some people still waiting for an interview.
Yeah.
And he was chosen in a couple hours.
Yeah, we talked about that too. They had that in a couple of days. They got new Pope and everything.
Church of God of Christ and Latter-day Saints, for the other people on the backside of the street, Baptist Church still ain't got no pastor.
Right.
On behalf of the Pastors Aid Committee,
Right.
I
This
would
is how you
just
select
like
one.
to welcome His Honest Grace,
His honest
Pope
grace.
Leo the 15th.
Yee, woo.
There it is. All right, so we do have a new Pope. All right, so the
We
other
got
part
chicken and crunch ball.
So we want to just lead off with that one because we do want to make sure we recognize the new Pope. So we do have another video, very unfortunate incident in current events. Grandmother shot and killed inside Landover home in Maryland while babysitting. And the key thing to this is they were babysitting, and I think it's a husband was a preacher or something like that. Was that right?
Yeah, I believe the
Right.
husband was a minister.
Yeah. Husband was a minister. So we're going to add that in there. I think Tiffany got kicked out of there. There she go.
Please be advised. Please be advised that this is very brutal content. Please be advised.
Like we welcome the 18 people that are here, but just make sure
Yvette Davis lived in
everybody's over
Landover.
18.
Yep, everybody over 18, so we can get it in there. All right, y'all ready? Mother, what you laughing at down there? What you doing?
Nothing. I'm waiting for it.
Waiting for it. Yeah, this is a very unfortunate incident that the grandmother did get shot in the home. So we're going to show that now.
From the Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex. The grandchildren were not hurt, but police tell us they were in that house alone for hours with their grandmother's body. The youngest child is just 10 months old. News 4's Amy Cho spoke with the Davis family today about their desperate search for answers.
It's Leslie. I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary as being a travel agent.
If you ask those who knew Leslie Yvette Davis, they'll tell you she loved life and the people around her. Early Saturday morning, her Landover grandmother was babysitting her 4 young grandkids when someone shot and killed her at home as she slept. Leslie's daughters discovered her body when they came to pick up the children and found 2 of them wandering the house, saying Grandma was dead.
It doesn't seem real. I haven't been asleep, can't eat. Every time I close my eyes, I just see my mom, how I found her.
Leslie Davis was also a reverend. Her family says she was deeply involved in her church community.
Beautiful, kind, loving, God-fearing. My mom was just all around a good person. She would literally give you the clothes off her back, the food off her plate. Somebody took my baby, my firstborn. I just don't know how to explain the hurt that I'm feeling. I really don't. She was a beautiful young lady. She always was friendly. I'm so used to her coming through here on Sunday morning saying, "Hey, Val." She definitely is going to be missed.
The family says police told them they believe someone may have mistakenly targeted the house, thinking someone else lived there, but it is not yet clear what happened here and no arrests have been made. The Prince George's County Police Department says the investigation is still ongoing.
If anybody out there does know anything, I just
all right, so
people to speak up.
very unfortunate incident with the grandmother, who also happened to be a person of faith in the clergy. All right, what do y'all think about this one?
So that's a it's a very tragic situation. Ironically, we kind of dealt with a situation like that here maybe a few months ago. Sadly to say, lady actually had just got home from being released from the hospital, and some young gentleman who mistook her apartment for the apartment that supposedly the young man that they were looking for was at. They literally kicked the door in and instantly just went to firing. Just firing. That's I believe they say the lady got shot maybe it's like 16 times. She was handicapped. She was in a wheelchair, and literally, when I say literally had just got home from the hospital like hours before earlier that day.
Terrible.
And so that's the thing, man. It's like it's crazy that these young fools, let me just say it how it is, right? These young fools are so gun-ho, to try to get revenge and or try to go take something that they have not worked for. And people are not only losing their lives, but folks literally, man, folks' families are being crushed. Because you got to understand that lady, she may have been a daughter of one, but then she was also a mother of some too. So people are literally losing, they whole family chains, man, like just because of nothing.
Yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers out to that family.
It's a situation that
It's
unfortunately
crazy.
happens far too often. We have it happen all the time. Mistaken identities.
Yeah.
We just dealt with it. Just mistaken identity. He was a twin and got the wrong twin.
Wow.
So yeah, it's
Sheesh.
unfortunate.
I
These
the
kids need to do better.
the bad side of things, when it's a twin, that's one thing. But when you just running up in somebody's house and just shooting
While
for
she's sleeping.
absolutely nothing,
Mm-hmm.
like regardless if you had an intended target, you just busting in somebody's house to kill them. People. I think Mickey Mouse walking down the street all day long,
Yeah.
and it's the rats of Baltimore City. Like you can mistake somebody being a twin, but when you just intentionally go up in somebody's home
Yeah.
for what?
It's crazy.
With rage.
It's not.
That's rage 16 times. That's rage.
Yeah. Keisha
But
Brown. Hello, everybody. Hey, Warren, representing Farmville. What's up, Keisha?
hey.
Thanks for tuning in.
It's kind of
Val De
confusing.
Jesus. What's going on, Val De Jesus?
Hey, Miss Val.
Yeah, got Barry Robinson back this week. Happy
Hey,
Mother's Day
thanks,
to the
Barry.
ladies.
What up, Big Money Barry?
Always consider other ladies. That's Barry Robinson.
So in a sense of
Hey.
going into our topic for today, because it's so ironic, you know. I know to all of our listeners and even to us, as the weeks have went by, uh, because we're all in different, you know, cities and of course states. As the weeks have been by, as the topics, you know, have been talked about and different things of that nature, I have literally have dealt with two relative stories that we have actually, you know, like talked about with you know, who's gonna sign because, you know, I'm not married. They wasn't married. I literally, y'all, just got received the first call earlier today. And the gentleman passed away. Him and the lady been together 20 years, however, not married, of course, not married. I want to say the upside to it all is that all of their kids are adults, and they, you know, he has kids by pretty much all the same woman, by the same woman except for one. But lo and behold, the oldest one just so happened to be by this woman. But as they were at the hospital, and you know, of course, you know, it's time to go. He's transitioned. Okay, doctor comes out. Well, if y'all want to go see him now before we transport to the morgue, da da da. The common-law wife is like, well, now y'all can't go back there. You can't go back there. Da 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 da. Biological steps in and is like, hey, that ain't your call.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Sharon
Yeah,
Hawkins. Hey, y'all.
Wow.
that ain't your call. You can't tell who can go back there versus who can't. His
Wow.
kids
Mother
can,
love.
but you can't. And I'm his wife. No, you not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real. It's
Well,
real stuff.
it
Vanessa
depends on the
W. Good
state
evening
too.
to you.
It depends
It
on the
depends on
state.
the state. Some states
Well,
do
Texas
acknowledge
recognizes
common law.
common law, but that's that. But as far as like with the medical stuff,
Mm,
it ain't the same scenario.
mm.
But also I find it very confusing how you go into somebody's house while you're sleeping. Now,
Right.
mind you, she's in there with her 4 grandchildren.
Right.
This doesn't sound like a case of mistaken identity. Like to me, it's very odd. You go in there and you
And
shoot
just
this
get
one
her
person.
and not the rest of
You
them.
just got her, and she got 4 other people in the house.
Sound like
Or
some
maybe they
revenge
just,
stuff to me.
yeah, it sounds like it's something else there that may come out in the wash. But you know, in talking about the topic, you know, we talk about, okay, how was she found in the house? Was she shot in the head? Is she going to be able to be viewed? Like, is how she was in there overnight? You
Yeah.
know, people
Was the
don't
air
talk
on?
about
Was it hot?
what's the air on. People don't talk about how gun residue can, you know, mess
Burn the
with
skin.
it can burn the skin. You
Right.
know, all of those play a part in her having a public service, or Adrian needs to make his bed.
Literally, you need to make that bed.
You know,
Hold on, we're gonna
flag
take
on the play.
Hold on. We'll let him sound like it when he read it.
Flag play.
Hold up. There's a flag on the play. Oh, Lord.
I thought somebody was laying in the bed. I didn't know what was happening.
Oh man. So
That's why the camera went off.
Yeah, that's why the camera went off. So that's a good segue to what we're talking about today. Can we show the body? Like you said, with this grandmother, again, you know, God rest her soul. So sad to hear but you don't know what happened to her and if she will be able to be viewed by her loved ones, right?
Right.
So that's just something to consider when tragedy happens. And we're going to segue into, there was a New York limousine crash that killed 20 people in New York. I don't know if anybody has heard of it, but guess what? We got it right here on Till Death Do Us Part. Check it out.
I believe it's 2017.
Heartbreaking story. The NTSB is in upstate New York this morning investigating the deadliest auto crash in recent history.
20 people dead after authorities say a stretch limo didn't stop at a stop sign. It then crashed right into a parked SUV. Laura Podesta has more about the wreck and some new information we've learned overnight about the victims.
Witnesses say it sounded like an explosion when a stretch limousine crashed in upstate New York over the weekend.
These trees just all swayed, and you just heard the swoosh.
All 18 people in the limo and 2 pedestrians were killed after it blew through a stop sign and into a ravine. The crash happened Saturday afternoon in Schoharie, about 170 miles north of New York City. 4 sisters are among the dead. Barbara Douglas is their aunt.
They were fun-loving. They were wonderful girls. One has 2 little children and one has 1 child. And they now have no home or no parents.
The group was celebrating the 30th birthday of the youngest sister, Amy Steenberg. She and her husband, Axel, were married earlier this year. He was also in the limo.
They did the responsible thing, get in the limo, so they wouldn't have to drive anywhere.
20 fatalities is just horrific.
The National Transportation Safety Board says this is one of the deadliest accidents in recent history. Officials are not speculating on the cause.
At this point in time, we look at everything. We look at the vehicle factors. We look at the roadway. We look at survival factors. We look at the condition of the drivers.
Local officials say this intersection has been prone to accidents in the past.
All right. So I think this is an older video, but at the same time, it kind of gives a segue into our topic tonight. So 20 people unfortunately died in that accident. What we got? Let's go around and talk about it.
So this happened, I believe, in 2018. And I always kind of go back to this when we talk this topic because I read all 84 pages of that National Transportation Advisory Board. That happened in upstate New York. What they found was the limo was not maintained properly. And once they had several incidents of car accidents coming down the hill. So basically it got going down the hill and it lost its brakes. It lost its brakes. So it crashed through and it hit the ravine. What I will say is, in looking at the autopsy reports and the victims' whatnot, they all killed each other. Basically, it was like a pinball machine. When they hit the ravine, each person just kind of hit the other as they hit the front, and that was how everybody died. The reason I choose this, and Mike, you can kind of pull up this is graphic content. So we want to make sure that if you have anybody else looking at your screen, that you know this is your last warning. Let's pull up the picture.
Go look at the picture.
I think he's having. There you go.
There's the picture.
No. The picture of the limo.
Oop, wrong picture.
So I can pretty much say, looking at the bottles, that there could have been an open casket for everybody that was in the back of the limo. However, a lot of times in these situations, we forget about the driver. And you imagine hitting pretty much a ravine at 90 plus miles an hour in an excursion, modified with probably about 2 or 3 tons on the back of it. Yeah,
So
I don't know if that's
so that when it comes to mass fatalities,
Yeah,
regardless if
that's
it's a
deep.
train or an airplane and things like that, it's a lot of things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have a lot of burns. Majority of the people have broken limbs or their necks are broken. We had an incident on 95 like that. People coming from Philadelphia, coming down 95. This was last year, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in a party bus, and the party bus happened to flip on its side. And I want to say only one young lady passed from that incident, and a lot of her injuries were. I think the medical examiners came up with her main injury being a broken neck, but she was a thin young lady as well. So sometimes the size of the individual and the impact can be a sudden. Um, the trauma and the impact can be sudden for someone smaller
Mm-hmm.
than it can be for someone that's thicker or girthier.
Got some meat on the bones.
Yes,
yeah.
I ain't want to
Some
call them fat.
hooves.
But I honestly believe in that situation, nobody will survive. Like
That one.
people were saying what they wanted to talk about. Well, they need to make it mandatory for people to wear seatbelts in limousines. When you're going 90 plus miles an hour into a ravine, it doesn't matter whether you have a seatbelt or not, because it might stop your skeletal body, but it's not going to stop your organs from that
Right.
trauma. And these people did not have on seatbelts, so they literally
Right.
just pinballed into each other.
So Warren, you touched on a pretty good topic there. So it's not always external injuries. A lot of folks that die in accidents die from internal injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So does anybody want to take that part?
Tiffany, she
Look, she looked like she ready. Look at her.
No. I'm halfway listening right now because I was trying to send a text message out to a family. What was the problem?
We always working.
Always working. Always working. We're talking about
asking
internal
about
injuries.
I know.
internal
I
injuries.
legit. I'm working.
So I can say
Yeah.
with the
Well,
type of
yeah.
cases
So,
that we've had for internal injuries, it can lead to skull and bone fractures as well. I had car accident with well, they were cousins, born on the same day and happened to die on the same day in a car accident celebrating their birthday. One of them, I would say the lighter one, because it was a light skinned one and a brown skin, but the lighter one had internal injuries. Barry can attest to this one. I happened to be left at the funeral home and had to embalm them too by myself a couple years back. And we got the lighter one to the point, but he had a lot of bruising because of the internal injuries. His lungs were punctured. But one thing about Baltimore, well, Maryland, the morgue, it doesn't matter. They're going to do an autopsy regardless. Like, it doesn't matter. You
Even for
can prick
car
your finger.
accidents,
Yep, they will do an autopsy.
Not in Virginia.
Off the break, they'll do an autopsy. So that helped a lot, but we can see that a lot of bruising around the rib cage and stuff like that happened. You can see where on his skin where they had the seat belts. You can see where the seat belt kind of went across one of them necks, where that impact, and the vehicle they were driving had airbags, so you can see that the debris and the burns from the airbags. So things inside the car can contribute to internal damages too.
So let's talk about viewing side versus non-viewing side. And then also a lot of the public doesn't know how that works. So go ahead, T. What you got?
well, so as far as viewing and non-viewing side, customary, as you approach your casket, the head end is to the left, your foot end is to the right. And the way the caskets, especially where all of you guys are, everything is half couch. So that kind of is what it is. In Philly, we have a little leeway with how we do that in the case of injury, because that would mean that your right side is your viewing side and your left is your non-viewing side. If it's a lot of times with us, if there's a traumatic injury to this side of the face, when we wax, we can wax, we can cosmetize, we can do what needs to be done, but we will turn the individual to the other end of the casket, which will then make it so head end is on their foot end is to the left. So we kind of have that grace with a full couch casket, because here in Philadelphia, that's all we do. Not really sure how you guys would handle it.
I put a guy in a full couch just so we can turn him that way.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because
I put a guy in a full couch so he can be seen, because the viewing side, the non-viewing side was perfect. Dude got shot up in the car, so all of this was shot up on our traditional viewing side. So I told the family, I'm going to put him in a full couch casket since you really need to see him. Let's put him in a full couch casket. We're going to put a veil on him, but we're going to have to turn him the opposite direction. I did a minister that way, where a pole had went through his eye when he hit the fence. And the top of the fence had a pole on it, and that went through the car and went through his eye. The viewing side. Put the preacher with his robe on the opposite way. The other ones that saw him when he was when he made it to the hospital, because he did have some life to him when they pulled him out of there. He made it to the hospital. His friends saw him and a couple of family members seen him, and they wanted to show him. The wife did not want to show him because she said she did not want her children to remember someone being backwards in a casket. If the children weren't involved, she would have shown them. But they came in on their own private time, and everything was straight. But she didn't want her kids to walk into church to see their father backwards in a casket.
Yeah, it's all perception. We
But
had
they
a
wouldn't
young.
know any different.
Huh?
They didn't know any different. They wouldn't know the difference.
Yes
They
or no?
wouldn't have known what was forwards or backwards.
Some kids do though.
You'd be surprised.
You don't went to enough funerals or seen enough,
especially when
they
your
thought
father
one way. Right. You would know.
Well, we had a gentleman years and years ago that was in the fetal position. For those who don't know, fetal position is where you kind of curled up. They've been in that position for years. They were in a nursing home facility, our assisted living facility, and they were laying what we would consider the opposite direction. So we purchased, had the family purchased a full couch, and we laid them nice and peacefully in that full couch the other direction. Family was happy. Everybody was happy. We had an open casket. And then we put put a blanket on them, or there is a little portion that you can't put at the foot of the casket. If you get a metal casket, they have the foot panel, or they have, other things that you can be creative and do to kind of hide the feet if they're not in condition to be shown.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd be wanting to go in the nursing homes and tell the nurses, for preventive measures, can you please make sure they position a certain way? Because if they get stuck like that, some people muscles fuse. And if they get
stuck, do not care.
Tiff, you see me shaking my head? No,
they get stuck
ain't
like that.
it.
Like I'd be wanting to go through a nursing home, be like, shift them over some, because this is hard for
Listen,
us.
Charmaine, they won't even take the tube out their mouth. That's really simple.
Right.
I'm just saying.
It won't take nothing. Won't take nothing out. So what?
I'd rather for them not to.
Really?
Half of them, we prefer them not to take nothing out too. But it's crazy because a lot of my removals be coming from hospice and or nursing homes, and man, you'd be so surprised, man. I wouldn't want to ask these people to do nothing. These folks don't even be knowing what paper or form to give me to sign.
No.
So I can take the body. They be, do you have something for me to sign? I say, no, you got something for me to sign.
Yeah, they don't
Well,
know.
they didn't leave it. I don't know where to. I said, go on Google. Let me tell you what the printout is. So I
No,
can go.
Tanisha
the
C, good
prop.
evening. Good evening,
Oh
Good
Tanisha
no.
C.
evening, good evening, everybody.
Man.
The problem is the nursing homes are
Hey, Miss
being
Kathy
sold and
Small.
they're being sold and bought so quickly that the protocol is constantly changing. Like the nurses and the CNAs are like, you might have a protocol for one company, and then the next company comes in and it's like, well, no, we don't do face sheets. Well, you got to give me some information. How am I supposed to call the
Yeah.
next thing? Like you got to give me something to be able to do what needs to be done. But that's a good piggyback, because we have a Virginia nursing home that is catching flack right now because the company was named as one of the top 10 worst nursing facilities in the country.
Oh wow.
And I've had a body from them, and literally the man came in with a stage 3 to stage 4 bed sore in their back. And it was open. And literally,
jeez,
we could embalm him. He was sharp. There was nothing wrong with his face.
Odor.
But we literally
got to get that post cam jail.
Our maintenance was making sure that was packed and changed and odor free until he went in the ground.
Yeah, the public does not know about odors and smells.
Right.
Like you know what it takes to get some of these people in the ground without smelling up the place.
Dude, who you telling?
Yeah.
Hair removal, skin removal.
The whole nine. The body is
But you
flesh.
know, sometimes depending on how close the gun is to a person, or even with suicide, some people with suicide have a stench with their skin in the burn too.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a picture of that.
We do. Y'all ready
You
to show
better
that
go
one?
ahead.
Y'all ready to
Come
show
on,
that one?
direct us, mother.
Come on, introduction.
The introduction. All right, so this is a graphic photo. So for those who may not want to see it, please.
This is very graphic.
It is very graphic. This was a shotgun to the head.
Handgun to the face.
Or handgun to the head, excuse me. And I don't know if you can see the whole picture there, but most of the cranial is gone. Mouth, teeth, all that kind of things is gone. And I mean, it's just not a good look right there.
That's fixable.
Yeah, we can definitely fix it.
It is definitely fixable.
Yeah.
But if it was I think what people need to understand, there may be a lot of splatter from those type of guns or from shotguns, but a lot of that's brain matter and blood. A lot of times it will blow your skin apart, but the skin is still attached. And as long as the skin is still attached, you can go in and fix a lot of the other stuff. I remember hearing a story my grandfather used to tell back in the day. A lady, I guess she was dating one man. She was married to one man, and she was dating another. And the guy said, "Well, if I can't have you, nobody can have you." And he took a shotgun and blew her in the head.
Well,
so
didn't nobody have her?
What my grandfather did was he took
What you say, mother?
I said I'm saved. I'm about to say I'm saved.
Yo, listen, real quick, y'all, real quick. Listen, I love y'all. I'm at my state convention, y'all. Our thing is about to start at 8, so I had to be on. I wanted to be on time versus late, but I gotta go. I love y'all. I see y'all next week. So I love y'all.
Part 2.
Y'all pray out my travels. I'll see y'all next week for part 2. I'm still watching. Y'all please share.
Get educated while you're at
Go
that
to
convention.
YouTube, follow and subscribe. I'm trying my best.
Mother said get educated.
Oh, bless her, bless her, bless her, bless her.
Yeah, my brother wanted to say good evening before you head out of there.
Good evening,
hey, what up, B? Salute to you, B. Hey, man, I love y'all. Thank all y'all viewers, all of our fans, all of our followers. I love y'all so much. Y'all keep watching. Please share and tell the people. Adriana Kelsey, good evening to you, beautiful. All right, love y'all, man. I see y'all.
Make sure you have a designated stroller pusher.
What did he say?
A designated high chair pusher?
A
Hey,
designated
listen.
stroller pusher.
Hey,
Stroller. Oh, the stroller.
make sure you don't put Warren in the middle. No freaking more. Oh my God. Oh, you know
Oh
what?
man.
Hey, Warren.
Not mine.
Oh look, I did not boot him out. I did not boot him out. I'm telling you right now. Look, Barry told him to enjoy Houston.
So what I was saying was he took a kid's baseball helmet and used calvarium clips to like basically put this skull back
inside.
together.
Mm.
And if you can form the skin, then at least you have the wax can do the rest. You know, you can use PVC or you use wax and makeup to. She may have looked like herself, but she was able to be shown, and that's much the goal. Now, some families may not want to pay for that service. They may not want to, you know, even have a funeral home to go through that level of what you can do, because when it comes to that, we have to have approval. Like there's a fine line between what's the terms I'm looking for, y'all? A fine line between excessive and necessary.
Yeah, that's a good point, Warren, because there are some standards there. There are acceptable practices in funeral service, and there are others where we would need to get the family's permission. And usually there's an additional form that the family would need to sign to just say, hey, I do give XYZ funeral home permission for my loved one to do, you know, whatever the procedure may be, whether it's excise and tissue or
let the mother back in. Let the mother back in.
Oh, we're going to let her back in.
She got kicked out the church.
Man, the answering service done called and it froze the whole phone. Like, but look, let me say this about this getting disclaimers done.
Mm-hmm.
The main question is, can you see them? I only for extreme decomposed bodies, I'll be like, no. But when it comes to gunshots, when it comes to car accidents, I always tell families, allow me to work on them first.
Yes.
Don't try to rush this. Give me some time, because restorative art was my favorite class. And I don't go in the prep room for basic stuff. I'm not on my feet 2 hours. I'm not even going to take that. I'm not even going to take that job. The prep room is not my haven like others. However, when we have a traumatic case, that is me and me and me and my dad, because he's still trying to learn what I've learned, and I'm learning what he learned, which was ages ago. And we put it all together and we make it work.
Look, Mr. Brown gonna send you instructions.
And he's going to put sticky notes all over every bullet hole and every suture and everything. But like, we always tell families, give us an opportunity to make this happen. Once we get to that point, then we'll let you know if it's something that you can look at, or we'll bring them in and have them sign a disclaimer of, you know, we're not responsible for any mental or physical health issues that may come about. You're viewing at your own free will, that kind of thing. And we only limit it to the two most important people for that. And we bring them in days before the actual viewing, just in case we have to have it closed, turned around, sealed up, that kind of stuff. But I never tell people no when it comes to gunshot and car accidents. I had a gentleman just 2 weeks ago, and the family told me he wasn't viewable.
Yeah, they'll do that.
I said, and he was shot up. This boy was shot up 20 sometimes, like ridiculous. Alone, him, 20 sometimes, and you can tell it was two different types of gun that was used, and a lot of it was in his face. Now, we told the mom, we told the sister, because she was the only one that was focused. We told the sister, hey, if we put a hoodie on him and put glasses on him, he would be great, because a lot of his damage was on the non-viewable side of the face. However, nosy people, if they get in the casket like that, you can see everything that happened over there. And then the sunglasses would be able to hide things right here. And we offer the veil too. So the girl said, well, if you have to do all that, then we don't need to see nothing. But on the flip side of things, they brought clothes, and then the girl calls back and says, "Well, I think I might change my mind. Can we just have something to like hold his hand?" I said, "But if we're covering his face, I think that's a worse image of covering his
Right.
face just to touch his hand than it would be to look at him."
Because
So
you're
she
gonna
said,
always remember that.
Yeah.
exactly. But they were at the hospital and they saw him like just done. They saw him completely, what they thought could not be fixed. And that was their conversation
Yeah.
coming through the door. Look, we know we're going to have a closed casket and have him cremated at the end. We know his head is blown all over the place, and so is a lot of his body and his leg. Like somebody unloaded several guns on dude. They came in with that conversation because that's how they saw him in the hospital. And my thing, right on this side of the brain, if you saw that, now give me the opportunity to fix it.
Right.
So I can
Because
fix
by the
that for you
time it
for
get up
life.
here at me fixing it, we good. But some people, they'll take your word for it. And some people are like, I don't trust you. Let me see it anyway. And
Yeah.
I went through that when my daughter died. She was decomposed, and my brother went and picked her up. And he called upstairs and said, "I don't think you need to come downstairs right now." And I'm like, "I can come downstairs, We always walk through the prep room." My funeral director told me, which was my brother, my funeral director said, "Don't bring your hind parts in this prep room," in which I should have listened. So now that I have experienced the don't do it and went through it, now I can see how a parent can feel of, hey, as a director, please just trust me right now when I say this is not the time and you don't want to have that image
Yeah.
of that. You don't want that to be a lasting image. Because I have a lasting image of her looking like she was reaching out for help in a decomposed state. And that's all I can get. So me telling a parent, "Hey, just trust me. I've been where you are. I understand when someone tells me that my child is not viewable, and just trust me, trust what I say." And I'm saying that to tell others, trust your funeral director when they're telling you, because a lot of us love to help these traumatic situations. And to make you happy, we love to, do it and fix it for you. All funeral directors are not going to say, "I ain't doing it." That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Majority of us is going to try to fix it before we absolutely say no.
Yeah, and Charmaine, I think you hit on a couple great points. One is trust your funeral director. If you don't trust the funeral director you're working with, you went to the wrong funeral home. Okay, you need to find somebody that you do trust. The second thing that you touched on, again, thank you for sharing about your daughter. I know that's not easy sharing that, so thank you for sharing. But you touched on, the viewing and allowing us to fix the problem, right? I always say we never deny a family from seeing their loved one, right? But we do have that conversation, just like you said, say, "Hey, can you just give us a couple of days? Let us help, right? Let us get her dressed. Let us get him dressed first." In most families, they're like, "Okay," but then you have some that are very persistent, and they just have to see them regardless of their condition. So, we never say no. I think by law, I think that's a federal law. I don't think it's just by state. You cannot deny a loved one from seeing their loved one. You can deny,
but you
family
can
member.
protect yourself.
And you can protect yourself. That's key.
You can protect yourself, and
you can't stop them, but you can definitely have disclaimers and waivers and everything for them to sign, so that in the event what they see, they decide to say that it's mental duress, and that we let them go in there with these
why would you let
forms
me go?
signed.
Yeah.
Right. It makes your chances of being sued a whole lot less.
And they don't
They
go in
still
by
gonna try.
themselves.
They're gonna try.
We don't have them go in
but
by themselves because we have everybody witness each other's forms.
yeah.
That way, the
Yeah.
one person can't say, "Oh, they took me in there by myself." Nope, you went with someone else, and both of y'all agreed and signed off on each other.
Right.
But I do want to just backtrack real quick, because we will talk about, that form of necessary versus too much, excessive. And we would go back a little bit further when we talk about fetal, the fetal position, because in the atrophy, when muscles fuse together, because you will have some families that are like, is there any way you can get him flat so he can lay out? Okay, yes, we can. However, we may have to
What you
break
say,
some
Tiffany?
limbs.
That's what I thought she said.
Well,
we
cut
might
the
have to- we
tendons,
may have
not
to-
break. You
we
tell
may-
them you have to cut the tendons.
we might have to cut the tendons,
Yes.
so we can lay them flat. It's
And
okay with you.
Massage is a
Then
nice word.
You need to sign this. Well, you almost can't even say that because some of these they're so atrophied. They've been in that position for so long that as you stretch them, the skin breaks.
Yeah, well. Go ahead. She can't even get it out. Look at her.
No, I had a man named Joe Buffalo. That was his name, Joe Buffalo. He always had his arm in a sling. So when he died, where was his hand? Up like this. And it looked like he was telling people bye. And my dad and I asked the mom, do you want us to fix that? She said no. His arm was fused like that for a long time since he had the stroke. Leave it like that. She said, just make sure his nails clean. That's all I asked. Make sure his nails clean and filed. And when you walked in, homeboy was just like this. Like he was either trying to give somebody a high five or waving goodbye. Some people, that's the natural, and that's what they're used to looking at, so they want to see that.
Yeah, that natural tone. Hey, Barry Robinson in Virginia said, "Be willing to ask other directors for assistance." So you
like
know,
I asked Barry.
Yeah, so not all film directors are restorative artists.
No,
are embalmers.
I told Barry, come on up.
You know, the worst time I ever got cussed out was when this came in the funeral home and I accidentally shaved her mustache.
Oh, that's
oh
no.
Oh, you always ask
mama.
the women. Always ask about women. Well, you ask about everybody's mustache, but it's women too. You always ask about the women's mustaches.
That was the
My
first thing
mama
Rick
had that
said.
mustache all her life. I said, well, I didn't think she wanted to go to glory with them edges right there. But maybe, you know.
So did you do the hair trick and put her some back on there?
Did you make her mustache?
We little mascara. We filled it out. Put a little bit back there so she looked more like herself. But and with it being 8:52, I wanted. We have enough time to hit this last case?
Yeah, we got 7 minutes. What you got?
We got the decapitation, our tractor accidents, because with part one, we said accidents and crisis events. And I know crisis events, people think more about drugs, which is the big issue when it comes to embalming, for sure. But I do want to kind of pinpoint us on almost like freak accidents, man. This case where it looks like the guy's hood got caught up in the drivetrain of the tractor, and it literally disconnected his head.
Fixable?
No.
Most definitely no. Most definitely fixable. It's most definitely fixable.
Well,
you can fix
if
put a scarf on.
If everything is recovered properly.
Yeah. It's kind of tough. But let's show the photo first, and then let's talk about it, because we got a couple minutes, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and show the photo here. So I don't know if you can see that tractor accident on the left-hand part. You see he's at the hitch, and then on the right-hand part, his body's up top, but then his head is on the ground. So just hopefully, if it's clean, you could always, like you said, if it's all encapsulated together, you could sew the head back on, embalm the head and then sew it back on. Yeah, you could make it work.
That embalm separately.
So that's the full picture.
Yeah.
Good movie.
I have no idea. I don't know if his hair got caught in the drivetrain or
that looked like that hood.
I don't know, man. All I know is it's never a good way to die, but I don't want to die like that.
We're going to pray that he didn't feel it.
Yeah, I'm going to pray.
See,
our pastor used to say, pray for a peaceful death. That's what Pastor Woods used to say. You better pray for a peaceful death. Lord have mercy.
That's sad.
embalm the head best you can, and then embalm the body vascular and sew it back together, wax it, restorative art, put them to leave.
You try to do the best that you can. I know we've had the worst for me is always kids and children.
Yeah.
You know, we had cases where there was a 15 passenger van loaded with kids. One got decapitated. That's been the worst. One of the worst for me. Had to embalm that young man and then send him on his way. And you know, what do you do with that, right? You sit there, you cry through the whole thing, and then you know, you just take your time when you can when you finish with that, just because it's mental. It's mentally challenging to handle that. You know, especially when you have kids of your own around the same age. So it can get to you. But we got about 4 more minutes. I know next week we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to be a little bit more in depth next week. We just want to give you a little teaser today.
Autopsies.
Next week we're going to be, can we show the body? Autopsies and donations. All right, autopsies and donations. So we're going to hit into a little bit.
Donations.
You know, I was an organ donor until I saw what happened.
You don't want to pipe up your butt. You don't want to pipe up your butt, huh?
I'm still an organ donor. I'm an organ donor. Even knowing they're gonna make me a tree. They're gonna make me a tree.
He's
either
going
way.
to be a tree anyway, so don't.
Yeah, he's gonna be a tree, so you're gonna take his organs.
Right.
So they'll be in there.
But do you understand with that organ? Do you understand your skin is the organ? So when they get to shaving you like a bald head, and oh my God.
The worst is when they take the whole skin off the back and it just sliding everywhere. Just slippery.
That's next week. That's next week.
That's next week. Oh, okay. So we got
it's 8:57. We gotta give them the blow up dolls.
Oh.
We gotta give them the blow up dolls.
All right, so we,
and the thing is we'll preface it by saying, in this case, how would that situation have been handled?
All right, so this just to premise it a little bit. This is I'm gonna share this one. So this is from 6 Feet Under. We all were talking about this beforehand. Probably one of the most the best depictions of funeral service ever. In my personal opinion, I think we went around and everybody agreed because it was like spot on so many things. So they had a funeral director probably do this part. The worst thing to me, and I think we all agree about this too, is when we see something on TV, on Power, or one of these other places, and then they have the wrong type casket, the wrong setup. It just consult a funeral director, please. Call one of us. We'll be glad to help you. We won't charge you too much, but go ahead and just let us know so we can get that done. But look, we're gonna share this one. This one here is 6 Feet Under, The Rapture Death. That's the name of this one, The Rapture Death. Enjoy.
Charmaine's face.
Dude, you almost hit that guy. I did not. Yes, you did. He came from nowhere.
But it's not just the wives who need to give themselves freely to their husbands within the blessed confines of the marriage bed. Husbands need to surrender as well because
women have desires too.
Exactly.
And those wifely desires are meant by God to be satisfied by their husbands.
Even when we may not feel like it.
Like that ever happens.
So this is how Garden of Eden again, without shame, without sin.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Sweet Jesus. Sweet Jesus.
Wait for it. So for those who don't know, she got hit by a bus.
Yes.
And she went to the great beyond.
With the rest of them.
With the rest of them.
Lord,
that is my favorite funeral home show in life. You hear me? Oh my
man.
God.
No, y'all gonna make me go back and rewatch all the episodes because that was a long time
Oh my
ago.
God.
Yes.
But every episode starts with almost like a freak accident. Or the first episode started with the dad dying. The dad was trying. He picked up a brand new hearse. He had just bought a brand new hearse and was trying to light up a cigarette. and he got hit by the bus in the brand new hearse.
Yes.
Thank you, Vanessa
It's a great
W.
show.
Interesting show. Make sure you come back next week. Tell your friends. Hey,
Part
so
two.
for
Before
Tiffany the
we sign
Princess,
out real second, before
Charmaine
we
the
sign out,
Mother,
I
what you
want to
got?
give Warren a big shout out for all the graphics. That commercial he did.
Thank you.
Y'all, if y'all need a commercial for your business, please see Warren.
Yep, call them. We're gonna show it next week because we got to get out of here. So on behalf of Tiffany, Charmaine, Warren, the man who had to leave from Dallas, Texas, and Wendal who couldn't make it tonight, and I'm Mike
Because
Hamlar,
he
your
being a
host.
deacon.
Hey,
He's being a
appreciate
deacon.
y'all. See y'all next week.